Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us once again. Motivation Reimagined, as always, another episode. I'm so excited. We're having a crucial conversation today. There's a gentleman who I've always wanted to sit down and have a chat with. I'm happy that we managed to hijack him. He was saying this off camera to say, I just gave him a call and asked him to be here with me today. And I want to be honest with you, he didn't hesitate. He dropped everything off and he's here with us. So I'm very excited and thank you so much for that.
No, thank you.
I know he's a young businessman. He's doing great things in Bloemfontein. I've seen him. I think I've been following him for some time in his work and his passion. And I was quite intrigued, and I felt that it's a story that we need to hear, how he came up, what he's been doing, what he's involved in, so that we can also aspire to become like him and to do and to endeavor to achieve some of the things that he's achieved. So without any further ado, like always, I'm going to give him an opportunity to just introduce himself, because I've learned in this trade that sometimes you introduce someone in a certain way and then they don't like it and then you have to start and chop and start. So I'll give him an opportunity. So without any further ado, my brother, thank you so much for being here with us. How are you doing today?
No, thank you, Mr. King.
Yeah, perfect. Pronunciation, everything.
Everything.
Thank you so much,
No, thank you, my brother. My name is Linjwi Tlhogo, but then everybody has come to be accustomed to the name Voice. So yeah, a lot of people address me as Voice, Voice Tlhogo, and I think maybe you will understand where the voice comes from.
Got you.
Linjwi, and then everybody's Voice. So.
Got you.
Yeah, no, man. I'm a simple guy, born and bred and to die in Bloemfontein. Yo, yeah, that one like I remix it, you know.
Yeah. Born, bred, and to die
in Bloemfontein, you know. So yeah, I grew up in Bloemfontein, and this is where my life is. And yeah, I'm married for 9 years now. You know, how can I put it? You know, there's a lot of things. I guess today, hopefully, we'll be able to maybe just try and summarize because there is a lot.
Yes.
There is a lot that I think we are going to touch on today. But above it all, I'm a family man. I'm a husband of 9 years. I pastor a church by the name of Open Heavens Ministries. And then I've got my business, which I started in 2011. Yeah, I started just transporting. I just had that aspiration to feel that I can do learner transportation. And since then, I've been transporting learners. You know, I started with two learners for about, say, 6 months. You know, and I just told myself that I'm not going to give up. And I grew in, say, passenger transportation, from learner transport, meter cab, taxi.
But don't go too much. Yeah. It's just the introduction.
It's just okay.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
So that's the transportation bit.
Yeah, that's the transportation bit. And yeah, I guess I'll leave it over to you.
Yeah. Wow, so many things packed in one. Off camera, in fact, I should bring the audience in one of our conversations. I asked you a question and then you told me that you've centered your life in a certain way.
Yes.
Can you maybe just take us through that and then we'll structure our conversations according to that? What did you mean by that?
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people, and a lot of times I get this this question, and one of the questions will be like, how? How is it possible? And I always say, and it's one of the things I strongly live by. My life is just structured in 3 dimensions, if I would say. You know, it's family, church, and business. And it's as simple as that. Anything outside of these 3 things does not apply in my life. And I mean exactly that.
My word. I'm so intrigued, my brother. And I'll tell you why. I shared with him offline to say, should I say happily? Are you happily married after 2 years?
Yeah.
I'm happily married for 2 years now. So there's a lot that I can learn from my brother because he's been in this for 9 years. But let's start with family. How difficult is it to keep family unit, especially as young as we are? We are young, everything is so nice, there's nice time, there's so many distractions. But how do you keep focus when it comes to your family? Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a simple question, but there's a lot of how can I put it? It's if especially when it comes to that, I think we can take more than an hour.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, let me just try and unpack it.
Yes.
Unpack the issue of family. How do I keep it alive and focused? I think from a very young age, I was blessed with a wife that from day one, we both come from families that experienced or succumbed or suffered divorce. And because of that, we both loved family and love family, me and my wife. And above it all, we just told ourselves that family life got cut short when we were both young. I think she was in grade 6 and I was in grade 5 when our families split due to divorce. And we just told ourselves that, you know what, we are going to be the opposite. We are going to literally live by being happy and having a happy family. And by the grace of God, it's been 9 years, and I always tell people, I don't brag, but in the 9 years that we've been married, she's never went home. She's never slept in a separate...
She's still here.
She's never slept in a separate room. I've never slept in the living room, but 9 years we've been inseparable. And I think it's just one of those things that we've both said to ourselves that this is going to be everything of ours. This is our identity. We are going to live in a happy home, a healthy environment where literally we told ourselves, I remember one of, you asking me so many things, but I remember around 2013, Mr. Baluna, 2013, there was this pastor who came from Switzerland. I think a couple of months before we got married, my wife and I. He was from Switzerland. His name is Dr. Reiser.
Okay.
And one day he came, we were at church still as the youth, and he said something, my wife and I don't fight. Okay, and then that statement...
Oh, his personal experience.
His personal experience. And he said something like, the reason why my wife and I don't fight. And he's like, if two become one, if you fight with your partner, it means you fight yourself. You fight against your own self. So, and he asked us as the audience of the church, let's say you mad at yourself or you having a bad day, do you sit down in a room somewhere and you start punching yourself? And he says you don't do that. And the moment you do that, it means there's something wrong with you. And we took that and we applied it in our marriage. We were like, you know what, we can't fight. We can't fight each other. The moment you fight me, the moment I fight you, it means we are, a harm unto our own selves. And we've applied that wisdom and we've lived by it, and we believe in it so much that it's not even funny. And 9 years married, literally, I think we can't even fight, or we can't even say or recall my wife and I to say, we are fighting about this or nothing about that. So we are really blessed. And I guess family is where everything derives from. About us, my identity, that's where our strength is. So we are very blessed and we are thankful.
My word, and you said a mouthful, and I'm trying also to summarize certain things. The first thing that I want to summarize is that if you are sleeping in separate bedrooms, guys. Ne? And please don't beat yourselves. As long as you haven't left the homestead.
Amen.
Ne? I'm
Definitely.
happy. Yes, as long as you haven't left, you are still fighting. For me, at least, it's something.
Yes.
So sleep in separate rooms, but no, you must come back to each other. Because now I'll tell you a lot of stories where I've been sent to the other room. But I hope my wife is not watching this. But in good cause. But also, what he's saying is you and your wife becoming one.
Definitely.
Which is an important part. So if you're fighting your wife, it's as if you're fighting yourself.
Definitely.
If I
Becoming
understand
inseparable, you know.
Yes.
I think it needs to be embedded in both partners, that once you get together, just tell yourselves that you literally, if possible, become inseparable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you check, I don't know, maybe like you are somebody who does a lot of motivations, you know, and you speak and you believe in empowerment. But if you study the nature of businesses and mankind, the history of mankind, you know, the most successful businesses, most successful enterprises in the world, you know, they were always family businesses, family orientated people. So we can learn a thing or two from family businesses when there's that synergy between husband and wife, you know, kids, you know, siblings. It's literally a powerful.
Yeah.
It's a powerful thing that I think all of us need to adapt to.
A lot of ideas that I also can just, listening to you, I can also take and adopt in my own household. But let's speak about the second pillar. The first pillar was family and the importance of family, and then now let's move to church.
Yeah.
To church, and how does the two marry? What is this leg? What does it comprise of? The church leg.
Yo, are you ready for this one?
Yeah, no. Let's go. Give us a short summary.
Are you ready for this
Yes,
one?
yes.
I guess this one is where we you asked for it.
Okay. Yes.
And where we become raw. And obviously, with all due respect, not disrespecting anybody and any other person's belief and faith and religion. Okay, I grew up as a person who sees. I would have a lot of dreams, a lot of visions, and see things that actually happen. And I remember in my first year, it was in 2010, I went through a phase where amongst us as Africans, we are accustomed to where they would say someone has to be initiated or someone watwasa, if I would say that.
Got you.
And I went through those things, and whilst busy with that, because like I've been saying, I've always had, my faith has always been in God, and reading the scriptures. And I remember my wife sent me to read, then when we were just boyfriend and girlfriend in 2010, she sent me a scripture, Exodus chapter 20. And Exodus chapter 20 was where God gave Moses the 10 commandments.
Got you.
And I remember amongst the 10 commandments in Exodus 20, the start of it, it was where God said to Moses, "You shall not have any other gods outside of me, and you shall not worship or pray to things that live under the waters." And being busy with ukutwasa and all of that, those were the things that were happening in my life. Because I was introduced to what we would say where a lot of people who get initiated go to the waters, go to the dams, and they get introduced to something that lives in the water.
So you had a calling, and then you had to go through this journey.
I went through that journey.
Gotcha.
And busy with this journey, because we would go there and we would ask for if I would say, for lack of better words, ask for powers, ask for direction from the water snake.
Very true.
And I found myself, I was like, no, man, there's something deeper towards what I'm doing and what God is, expecting of us. And I got to a point where, it was difficult because I think I was only 19. And I left the practice that I was doing of being initiated, of becoming a sangoma, a prophet, and I chose to live by the words or to live like to just maintain and uphold a biblical standard of living.
Gotcha.
Although it's not something that is, I guess, at the end of the day, spirituality is never easy. But I just told myself that let me rather sacrifice my life to what the Lord would want. And ever since then, that is when my wife and we were first year students. She was in her second year. She's older than me with 1 year.
Yeah.
And that's
very well.
Yeah. She tells me, she's like, you guys used to be very close friends. And I think it's because of her why I'm here.
Yeah.
When we recall the history you guys used to
happy.
be.
Thank you so much.
When you guys used to be primary school friends,
Yeah.
And fast forward, my brother, ever since then in 2010, my life became very difficult, because I was challenged and I was faced with deep spiritual stuff at a young age. And I had to, it was either, there was no in between. I could not become lukewarm. It was either I go all out in terms of if I go and pursue ancestral the journey, or do I go the journey which I believe the Lord would want. And ever since then, I've been, I would say, more than 100% ever since then, because I was not given a choice or a chance, to be in between or be undecisive, if I would say. So ever since then, I've always given my life to the Lord, and I've never looked back. And the Lord has been good to my family, to myself. So church-wise, that's where I now, ever since then, 2010, up until where we are today, my life has just always been church, God, based on the gifts
that you have,
that the Lord has placed on my life.
Let me interject. Let me ask this. Had you chosen this path and things hadn't gone the way that you anticipated, what would you have done? Yeah?
Okay, I think had I chosen this path and things were not, like you say, if things had not worked out, if I would say, I was in a position where I was simply ready to be like, you know what, I doubt that. I think the reason why I chose this part, and I was very heavy that it is impossible for me to fail on this journey, was when we go through issues of, let's say, the ancestral journey, there is a lot of human involvement, if I would say. Why am I saying that? You would find that you hear from people, you have to be, somebody needs to say this, somebody needs to teach you, one understand.
Yeah.
And I just told myself that, you know what, if one day I fail, it's better that I fail in God.
Yeah.
So there was that peace to say that even if things did not go right, I would rather be safe in the hands of the
God.
Almighty God.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Let's speak about maybe the final leg. Make it brief for us because we have just been given our 10-minute notice.
Okay.
Just give it brief for me. So the final leg, business, and this is what I wanted to talk about, but we'll try and sort that out. Speak about business. How tough has it been? What business did you choose and why?
Okay. Like I said, back then, I got to varsity after the spiritual encounter that I had. I had to now slow things down. I used to be a biker. I had to let the bike go and just get a car just to concentrate on God. And you know, I remember I was a student at the Varsity University of the Free State. And being a student at the University of the Free State, I started hanging out with people of disability, students that were disabled. They needed transport. So I used to help them with my bike, a motorbike.
To transport them.
To transport. And sometimes you'd find I was giving lifts to blind people, disabled people on crutches. And I was just moved and pained to be like, I can't transport people who are vulnerable in this manner. I got a car, and I just got a car to help. And all of a sudden, you know, doors of business just opened, and I grew in transporting passengers.
You started very small.
It's very small. And the plan was not to start a business. The plan was just to get a car and help. And from the helping, I could see I need petrol, I need this, and it just grew. And by 2012, I had about 4 taxis. 2013, and I had about, say, 5, 6 taxis. And then in 2014, I had about 7 to 8 taxis. And the end of 2014, because I had grown and I'd mastered, I love transport business. And I told myself, since I'm at the pinnacle or the peak of passenger transportation, let me try other forms of transportation business. And that is when I knocked on, or in the freight industry, trucking business. And I financed my own, or my first truck through banking and keeping a good profile with the banks. You know, I've never received any form of funding. And I grew.
Clap for that.
And I grew my fleet since I've been busy in the transport trucking business since, say, end 2014, start 2015. And if you count, it's approximately about 8 years. 8 years, which
successful.
You know, funny. 2017, because I was new in the trucking business, it's a very high capital intensive business. You know, I lost everything. You know, trucks would break down, and you know, you need a lot of money because they would move all over the country. And from then onwards, I lost everything, and I had to go back to the taxi business. End 2017, start from scratch. 2018, bought my first truck again, and you know, it's not always been a journey of where it's all smiles and all fun. But I've been blessed, and I could say that where I'm at now, you could say I could classify myself as a logistics master.
Wow, I'm so disappointed. I think we've taken some time, but I'm happy that we ended with the positives. And for me, the story and the journey of starting small, having failures in between, and starting afresh and going again is very crucial and important. I think, can you promise me, my chief, that maybe at another time we can sit and have another discussion just on business? Because for me, business is important.
No, it's very important.
It's important.
No, I think maybe, you know, I believe things don't happen by mistake.
Yes.
Maybe this would say it's an intro, and then next time I'll be available, we'll go deep in terms of business and we'll dedicate as an hour plus, whatever that you need. But business is the way I am. I'm a bona fide, full-blown business person. I've never worked for anybody. I've always, I'm happy to be there, to do that.
Young, black, ambitious, bona fide in the industry, understood the space, and now he's dominating the space. That's the story that we've taken here today. And it's important for me to also translate that you have to center your life around certain principles. And he has chosen to center his life around family, around business, and around church, which for me is the center of the message that we have got here today. So if you also want to do great things in your life, you have to be principled and center your life around something. So from myself, really, I know there's a lot. Maybe you can leave your comments on the comment section if you want us to continue this conversation. But definitely, I'm going to be here and asking for some more time from Lintu to just elaborate on some issues. I had a lot of questions, but maybe we can leave that for our next segment. So, from myself to you, thank you so much for joining us once again. This has been a pleasure for me, and I hope it's been the same for my chief. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you, sir.
Let's see each other again. This is Motivation Reimagined. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, my brother.
Thank you so much.